Welcome to the Greater Pensacola Chamber Toddcast, sponsored by Moorhead Real Estate Law Group. On the Toddcast, Chamber President Todd Thompson talks to the leaders that are making a difference and driving the conversations that will impact our community. Now here's the Chamber President, Todd Thompson.
Welcome back to the Greater Pensacola Toddcast. I'm Todd Thompson, President and CEO of the Greater Pensacola Chamber of Commerce. Toddcast is sponsored by Moorhead Real Estate Law Group. They are the folks you need to go see if you have real estate questions. The market is still hot. There's a lot happening. So if you are looking to buy or sell or just have questions in general about what's happening in real estate, contact Steve Moorhead and his team. They will take care of you. So today we have a special guest. We have another Todd, so we're going to get Todd squared here. But we have Todd Royles. He is the executive officer of the Blue Angels. Todd, welcome to the Toddcast.
Todd, thank you for having me. This is a pleasure, absolute honor. So
Yeah.
Thanks. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, no, thanks for being here, and we'll try not to confuse folks with too many Todds.
Absolutely.
But yeah, look forward to the conversation today. So first, tell us about yourself, your background, and how you ended up with the Blue Angels.
Okay. My name is Commander Todd Royles. I was born and raised in Willow Grove, Pennsylvania, just outside of Philadelphia. My grandfather was a naval aviator, passed away before I was born. My father enlisted during Vietnam, and he was a mechanic in the Navy for a couple of years, and then he got out of the Navy and worked at the Naval Air Station just outside of Philadelphia. And I grew up watching the Blue Angels as a kid, and I knew from a very young age that I wanted to be a part of naval aviation. So I finished high school. I went off to Penn State University, where I did the NROTC program. I got commissioned in 2001, and I moved here in May of 2001 to NAS Pensacola for flight school. I wrapped up at the fall of 2002. I selected FA-18 Super Hornets. I'm actually a naval flight officer, so I'm a weapons systems officer in the F-18. So I moved to Lemoore, California for about 8 years, did a couple combat deployments, and I was fortunate enough to have a former Blue Angel pilot come to my squadron following his Blue Angel tour when he returned back to the fleet. We overlapped for about a year, and he said, you should really think about pursuing a job on the Blue Angels. They have one job for a naval flight officer. It's the Blue Angel number 8, the events coordinator. So I ended up applying for the team in 2010, and I was selected to be Blue Angel number 8. So I moved back to Pensacola about 10 years later,
Right.
And this is a much different place when you're not a student
Right.
in flight school.
Indeed.
You can actually take in some of the more enjoyable things versus just study, which is what I did as an ensign. And when you make a little bit more money, you can partake in some of the extracurricular activities that Pensacola has to offer. So I came here 2011 and 2012. I was on the team. I had 2 young daughters. They both started elementary school here. And then in January of 2013, we moved to Virginia Beach to Naval Air Station Oceana, and I went back to a fleet F-18 squadron. At that time, I made the decision that I did not want to continue to pursue a full 20-year active duty career. So at about the 14-and-a-half-year mark, I made the decision to become a Navy reservist, and I was selected by the training squadron here on base, VT-86, to be a reserve flight instructor. So I moved my family back to Pensacola summer of 2015. I put my kids back in the same elementary school that they were in when we left, and I started a civilian career here in town, which is where we had the opportunity to cross paths. I applied and was selected for Leadership Pensacola,
Right, yep.
Sponsored by the Chamber, and absolutely loved it. And then about 2 years ago in 2019, I got a phone call from the Blue Angels asking if I would be interested in returning to the team for 1 year to fill the executive officer position, which supports Blue Angel number 1, the commanding officer and flight leader. So I accepted 1-year orders back to the Blue Angels, and then COVID-19 happened.
Right.
The 2020 air show season was completely canceled, so they made the decision to freeze all of the demonstration pilots. in order, you really have to do a full season to get trained up in the demonstration. And without doing any air shows, it just was not a smart decision to rotate out and bring in another cadre of new pilots for the 2021 season. So because my timing is tied to the commanding officer, he was frozen for a third season, so they ended up freezing me for a second season.
Okay.
So I'll be finishing up my tour here this November, and then I don't have to move. So I'm going to stay here in Pensacola, start my civilian career again, go back into the reserves. And I've got, my daughters are now in high school, and that was part of the calculus for me, is that they're going to get to graduate high school here in Pensacola with kids that they started elementary school with here in Pensacola. So in a nutshell, that's how I got to where I'm at. And we are here in Pensacola to stay, and we absolutely love it here.
Yeah, that's great to hear. And hearing more and more of that as folks are getting out, they're wanting to stay and be a part of the community, and really happy to hear that you're going to be here.
Yes.
As you mentioned, and we'll talk a little bit more about Leadership Pensacola and your role in that here in a minute. But just great to have you a part of our community, and that'll continue. So talk about your executive officer. What does that mean exactly? What does that position entail?
Right. So every Navy command, or just about every Navy command, is led by a commanding officer.
Right.
And the predominant majority of commands have essentially a vice commander or a deputy commander, which is the executive officer. And it's unique that the Blue Angels actually did not have an executive officer position all the way up until 2015.
Oh, wow.
And the Navy deemed that, we call it the command triad. So you have a commanding officer, an executive officer, and then our senior enlisted is typically a command master chief. So between the three of us, it's our job to execute the mission of the command, whatever that might be. But what I am fortunate to do on the Blue Angels, because the commanding officer position is so unique to any other organization within the within the Navy, our flight leader and commanding officer flies 6 times a week.
Wow.
And he, between the brief, the flight, and the debrief, over half of his day is spent away from his computer, away from his cell phone, ingrained in the flying. But it is still a 150-person command. We have our superior down at our headquarters is at Sinatra, so we report to Rear Admiral Westendorf as the Chief of Naval Air Training. So there's all types of administrative stuff that still has to happen from a leadership perspective. So the executive officer position was stood up in 2015 to have a near peer, a sounding board for the commanding officer. Before, it was either a senior 05 or a junior 06, a Navy commander or a captain. And before the executive officer billet became an 05 billet, the next senior person to him was a junior lieutenant commander. Okay. So as you've seen, it can get lonely at the top when you have an idea and you want to bounce that off of somebody. It's important to have that other 05, commander to be able to bounce ideas off of and just help you lead the command. So that's my job, is to support the commanding officer in his role of leading the Blue Angels. Right. But again, it's more of an administrative. I'm an F-18 backseater by trade. I fly a handful of times every couple months just to kind of scratch the itch a little bit.
Yeah.
But we do have another we have a number 8. So I was fortunate that I flew 3 times a week in the practices when I was here the last time.
Okay.
And we have a number 8 right now. She's an F-18 Super Hornet Wizzo, so she flies quite a bit. So I try not to steal any of her flight time.
Right.
So it's fun.
Yeah. So it sounds like you stay pretty busy.
If I'm not busy, then I'm probably missing something.
Right.
So I look around for ways to not only improve the command, but really the tempo is just so high that it's easy to miss things. So it's good that my position was stood up so that I can help the boss make sure that nothing falls through the cracks.
Right. And you travel a good bit.
I do. Yeah. We have 29 shows on this season schedule, and I am slated for 20 out of the 29.
Okay.
So I just got back last weekend from we did a 3-week-long trip up to North Dakota, Alaska, and then Michigan. And then we got back Sunday night, and the team just left about an hour ago, and they're on their way to Kentucky. So they'll be gone until Sunday. But we have 150 team members,
right?
And we only travel with about 50. So there's 100 folks still here in Pensacola. We have 5 airplanes still here that they're doing routine maintenance on. And we have, administrative personnel. We have we just selected the 2022 team. So we have about 35 folks that are on their way to Pensacola.
Okay.
That need administrative support. We have a whole public affairs department that runs all of our social media, all of our print products, all of our a lot of our community outreach type of stuff. So it's a big machine that takes a lot. It's not just the 6 pilots flying the jets. We've got maintenance professionals. We have supply logisticians. We've got, like I said, professional administrators. We have a medical department with corpsmen and our own flight surgeon. So, and then things like Tropical Storm Fred.
Right.
The team is going to be gone, but we still have property and stuff back here in Pensacola. So the fact that I get to stay home this weekend and help monitor that situation and take that distraction or administrative burden away from the commanding officer is a relief to him.
So could that impact them coming back?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We call it a HUREVAC, a hurricane evacuation.
Right.
And unfortunately, we had to execute that a couple times in 2020 because we didn't have a show season. But our HUREVAC game plan, really, because we do an air show every weekend, is just don't come home.
Yeah.
Either leave a day early if we're in the path. But it looks like with Fred bearing down on the panhandle, the game plan would just be don't come home.
Yeah.
But there's obviously still a lot of folks here that need to make sure that we have a solid game plan with what's going on back here. So fingers crossed. You never wish it on anyone else, but you just wish it doesn't hit here.
Yeah.
So that's with being a local now for 6 years and sustained some Hurricane Sally damage on my house. The last of my repairs should hopefully happen tomorrow. We'll see if that happens. But when it happens to you, you get a whole new perspective.
Right.
So.
Right.
Hopefully it weakens and just moves on out of the way.
Yes.
Right.
We're all hopeful for that. So you're here this weekend, but you like you said, you travel about 2/3 of the time.
Right.
So what does that look like when you go on the road and you're going to a show? We get to, as fans, we come, we watch, the show, but there's a lot that goes into it before and after.
We have 6-day work weeks on the Blue Angels. So we can just start with let's start with Sunday. So basically the team will return from Kentucky Sunday night. So the plan is usually if we can get back early enough with daylight and the weather's nice, we love to smoke the beach. This is our hometown.
Right.
So depending on what direction we're coming from, we'll fly from Orange Beach out to almost Navarre or at least Portofino. If we're coming from the east, we'll do it in reverse. If we're coming from the north, we can get a run down Palafox every now and then.
Right.
That's great as well. But it's a factor of the sun angle, the weather, and then the other air traffic. We can't be an impact to normal operations around here. But it's a great thing we love to do. So we get home late on a Sunday night, and then we'll have Monday as an R&R day.
Okay.
But the rest of the team that didn't travel will be in on Monday working on the jets that have been gone all weekend. We come in Tuesday morning, and we'll do our practice over NAS Pensacola. We'll do that, and we've got meetings getting ready for the next weekend. Number 8 briefs us on what the schedule is going to look like for the rest of the weekend. Wednesday morning is when number 7 leaves at 7 a.m. and he flies to the next city with his crew chief, and he inspects the show site, all the maintenance equipment, make sure that all the hotel rooms are squared away for the next day, rental cars, smoke oil, all the logistical requirements that go into hosting the Blue Angels for 4 days. He flies with one of his enlisted team members in the back seat, and that individual will brief. He'll inspect the maintenance equipment as well as brief. We call them the key influencer riders, so high school teachers, principals, guidance counselors, athletic coaches, folks that are going to have an opportunity to experience a flight with the Blue Angels and then take that experience out to kind of our target audience of high school age, college age individuals and show them that the Navy could be a good career option for specific folks. So, and then we fly typically a single media personality every week to run a story on the news, hopefully about that civilian that just got a flight, but also help advertise the air show. So that's Wednesday, and then we'll practice here in Pensacola. Typically go do an autograph session at the museum for the folks that made it to town. And then we go home, pack our suitcases, and then 6:30 a.m. folks are putting their suitcases on Fat Albert, and then 7 a.m. Fat Albert is airborne on the way to whatever city we have to go to.
Okay.
And then shortly behind them are the other 6 jets. So we'll get to a city typically by 9 a.m. And then the 6 jets will separate. We'll have 1 through 4. We'll fly a checkpoint flight over that new airport to orient themselves. Number 4 will fly around and look for obstructions or obstacles or anything that could be a safety hazard to the demonstration, and they pick out checkpoints. 5 and 6 will fly for an hour following them and do the exact same thing. We have an hour break where they'll refuel all 6 jets, and then typically 3 o'clock is where we'll fly a full practice show on a Thursday. So Thursdays are extremely grueling. Again, we're in here about 6:30 in the morning, fly a flight to the city, fly a checkpoint flight in that city, and a full practice flight in that city. So we're typically getting to the hotel in that new city sometime between 6 and 8 p.m., depending on how long of a transit it is. Friday mornings, we'll send typically 3 folks, 3 officers and 3 enlisted, out to community outreach events. So we'll go to speak to high school auditoriums. Our flight surgeon strives to get to some type of a children's hospital or a medical facility in that local area. Bring a little bit of the air show to the folks that can't come out and see us. And then Friday afternoon, we'll fly a full practice demonstration, followed by a community outreach event that evening if they have some type of a welcome reception to the air show. But we strive to get that open to the public. Saturday morning, we kind of have a late start. Typically, guys will go get in a workout, see some sights. We get to go to all these cool cities.
Yeah.
So we typically will take an opportunity to do a little bit of tourism, and then we head in about 11:30 noon out to the airfield. We'll fly a full practice. We do a full debrief. Our demonstration is about 45 minutes, and it's about an hour to an hour and a half to debrief that practice, frame by frame, to make sure every maneuver is how we want it to look, and if they have to adjust anything based on the terrain out there or obstacles, like I said. Saturday night, hopefully another type of community outreach event where we can integrate with the public in that city. Sunday morning, wake up, hit the gym, come back, stuff all your laundry into your suitcase, check out of the hotel. We bring our luggage to the airfield, and then we'll fly a full air show on Sunday. As soon as we land, we come back in, we debrief anything that possibly was unsafe for that particular evolution, but we don't go into the full hour and a half debrief at that city. We'll land, they'll refuel the jets, we'll put all our luggage on Fat Albert, and then we'll fly all the way back here to Pensacola. If you see us landing right at sunset, that's typically about what time we get back, depending on the time of year. And then once the jets safely land here in Pensacola, they go upstairs to our ready room, and then that's where the hour and a half debrief begins. And then we get out about 8:30, 9, 10, depending on how long the transit was, on a Sunday night. So we get home about 9 o'clock on a Sunday night, 9, 10 o'clock. Again, Monday, do your laundry, take your kids to school, maybe get out to the beach if the weather's nice, mow the lawn, and then Tuesday we're right back into it. So that's a typical week, and we do that basically from middle of March all the way until the end of season show at NAS Pensacola in November, and we have about 4 weekends off throughout the year to just help recharge the batteries. We used to only have 2 weekends off, and then following the 2016 accident that happened up in Tennessee, leadership said, you know what, you guys need 2 additional weekends off spaced out throughout the year.
Makes sense.
Just to to recharge the batteries a little bit, help refocus, recalibrate anything that might start slowly creeping away from safe execution. So that's good.
Wow.
But that's a typical year, and then the season ends in November, and as I said, there's a 50% turnover of the 6 pilots that fly in the Delta formation. Every year, 3 of them are brand new. So that's why, because we didn't fly any air shows in 2020, we realized it wasn't safe to bring in 3 new pilots for 2021. Because the other 3 pilots hadn't flown air shows outside of practices here at NAS Pensacola, as well as we transitioned this year to the new Super Hornet aircraft. So we wanted to make sure we had experienced guys that flew quite a bit in the legacy F-18 to be able to fly the new jets to identify any types of unique differences that might require a change in procedures or mechanics of how to fly a safe demonstration. So,
Sure.
But we'll finish the air show season here November 6th at NAS Pensacola. And we've got Sunday and Monday off, and then Tuesday is the start of the 2021 season.
Right.
And then Wednesday they start flying twice a day with 3 new pilots. And we do that all the way up until the holiday break in December, and then typically January 2nd or January 3rd is where we'll head off to El Centro.
Right.
From January until mid-March. We fly 10 weeks. We fly 15 times a week. We fly 3 times a day on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 2 times a day on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday.
Wow.
And then we hit the air show season in March. So
Yeah.
it is a grueling tour.
Right.
But you really feed off. We feed off the enthusiasm here in Pensacola without a doubt.
Yeah.
We've got people on the team that their kids go to Blue Angel Elementary. I drive on Blue Angel Parkway to get to work. My daughters rented their musical instruments from Blues Angels Music.
Nice.
We love the hospitality here and just the open arms of how Pensacola takes ownership. Really supports the organization.
Right.
Right. So, but then we get on the road even though we've been doing this for 6 straight days, when you get to a new city, you feed off the enthusiasm of the folks that haven't had the Blue Angels for 5, 10, 20 years. We've got some cities the Blue Angels have never been to.
Oh, really? Wow.
So it's an amazing opportunity.
Yeah.
So
is there a venue or a city that y'all go to or have been to that are like, that's the best? Other than Pensacola.
I was going to say, I'm biased. The Pensacola
Beach
Beach Show is phenomenal.
Right.
The big cities are really cool. I don't think there's a pilot in the world that would not love to fly the way the Blue Angels fly over San Francisco Bay.
Okay.
The San Francisco show is great. Seattle's tremendous. But then again, the small towns in the Midwest or it's just each one's got its unique differences.
Right.
I don't want to say there's good ones and bad ones. Anytime you're flying for the American public, it's a great opportunity. And then, like I said, some of the smaller towns, you get to really get out and meet the public. Some of the bigger cities, it's just a little bit more overwhelming.
Yeah.
We don't have the opportunity to. You try and get into the schools like you can, but there's just so much going on that they're enormous.
Right.
Right.
So you mentioned the new planes.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about the difference.
Okay, so yeah, the genesis of the Super Hornet transition was that the Navy's been flying the Super Hornet now in combat since the early 2000s. It's the platform that's still rolling off the assembly line from Boeing. We want to get out there and showcase that platform. So the decision was made, in probably 2014, 15 timeframe that they put a goal line of 2021 to have the Blue Angels transition to the Super Hornet. So Tom Frosch was the boss that left the team in 2015, and he was a test pilot graduate. So he got to go up to Patuxent River, Maryland, where test pilot school is, and all the test community, and start evaluating the profiles of the Super Hornet and what software changes would need to be made. And it was a 5-year evolution with a lot of former bosses. So boss Ryan Bernacki left the team, and he stayed on as the transition team. Captain Eric Doyle, when he left the team, he stuck around and did some of the flying, as well as Frank Weiser, who came back after the 2016 accident, and he stayed on the team all the way up until this year to make sure that the transition happened. And they were flying to St. Louis, they were flying to Patuxent River. What people don't realize is our jets actually have different software than fleet F-18s.
Okay.
For some of the capabilities and the maneuvers that we do. A fleet aircraft would start giving you warnings about you're flying too low,
okay,
or you don't have switches in certain positions, but we've mitigate that risk through our training. So some of that stuff is taken out, as well as some of the displays give you additional information that's useful for flying a demonstration that would not be useful for folks flying off aircraft carriers into combat. So different software, but again, these are gray they used to be gray airplanes. that were flown out in Lemoore, Oceania, Japan in combat. So we accepted them. We got them painted blue. They take the gun out. They install a smoke tank for our smoke oil up in the nose. They do all that plumbing. We've got inverted fuel tanks so that they can fly upside down for an extended period of time. Things like that. But really, it was the folks, like I said, all the ex-Blue Angels that were a part of it, that went up to the simulator up in Patuxent River and really wrung out that airframe to make sure that we can do it safely. And then we just took basically the existing F-18 demonstration and then had to tweak it slightly to fly the maneuvers in the new airplanes. They roll a little bit different. They loop a little bit different. The legacy F-18 still had some mechanical flight control linkages. So we'd say the pilot's 51% of the vote and the computer is about 49.
Okay.
Well, in the Super Hornet, it's all electronic, fly-by-wire. So the computer's 51% and the pilot's 49%. So they fly. Each jet flies a little bit differently as well. So they flew. That was the beauty of freezing the team, is that everybody that flew the Super Hornet this year, or that's flying the Super Hornet this year, flew that exact same position last year, and they knew the differences, and they were able to adjust profiles, adjust mechanics, to make sure that it's, number one, a safe demonstration,
Right.
and then number two, aesthetically pleasing and entertaining to the crowd. Yeah. So very happy. And then again, this year we also acquired a C-130J Super Hercules. So we now have a new Fat Albert as well. So very unprecedented that we've unveiled 2 new platforms in one season, on top of it being our 75th anniversary. Right. The team was formed in 1946. So we're celebrating 75 years of representing the Navy and Marine Corps, naval aviation, the DoD at large, to the American public and to the world. We've got a show coming up in Canada, and then with technology and virtual air shows, the Blue Angels are known around the world, right, for our world-class demonstration.
Right. Well, congratulations.
So it's an honor. It's an
congratulations on 75 years.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So in all your travels and all the shows, any kind of behind the scenes cool stories that you can share that
we are a cross section of the fleet. We all came from the fleet, and when we finish this tour, we're going to go back to the fleet. So it's truly an honor for us to get out to different show sites. It's always the flying is amazing. Right. No one's going to tell you that's not one of the best parts of the job. But when we can get out to high schools, we do a lot of scout types of jamborees, because what people don't realize, the air show industry is not. It takes a lot of volunteers to make something like that happen. Right. So, and typically cities will bring in youth organizations to help with parking and trash removal and things like that. So, and a lot of the Boy Scouts will end up camping at the airfield. So when we finish up a debrief for the end of the day, it's sometimes cool if we have the opportunity to go from the debrief over to a jamboree and interact with some of those folks to hopefully inspire them to either follow in our footsteps, or most importantly, we were created by Admiral Nimitz in 1946 to get out there and represent and display naval aviation, but we've kind of evolved our mission and our mindset to, hey, we're a recruiting asset, but our goal is also just to inspire the American public. Right. No matter what it is that you're doing, hopefully you can witness a Blue Angel flight demonstration and see the teamwork, see the professionalism, see the pursuit of excellence, the precision, and take that work ethic and that drive and apply it to whatever your craft is. So that's really what's amazing for us to be able to do on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, that's the best part of the job, without a doubt.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
So
you mentioned Leadership Pensacola earlier, and your involvement. So talk about that a little bit and what that looks like.
Yeah, it was a tremendous opportunity. I will tell you that having applied to the Blue Angels when I was back in the fleet the first time, when I got the Leadership Pensacola application, it was a little bit intimidating. Yeah. The essay questions, the references, but that obviously is the trademark of a stellar program that really tries to pick the cream of the crop to invest that time and effort into. So felt very, again, fortunate to be selected for LEAP. And as someone who was not born and raised here, who all I've ever known was the Navy, I just hit the 20-year mark in the Navy. So when I started my civilian career as a contractor on base, that was my first glimpse at civilian career opportunities, but I was even still working on base.
Okay.
So I was still sort of in that my comfort zone. But it was a tremendous opportunity to be surrounded by 50 folks from all walks of life and all different industries here in Pensacola, to open my eyes to the opportunities that are available, not only for my own employment, but for things that I want my family to be a part of, the volunteer opportunities, the service organizations, and as well as the areas that we need to focus our efforts on to continue to improve Pensacola.
Right.
Because LEAP really takes you behind the curtain to some of the parts that many of us don't get an opportunity to experience on a daily basis, whether it was the goods and the bads. So
Right.
the tour of the county jail was eye-opening. The EOC. Going up to see the new Navy Federal not as new, the ever expanding Navy
Right.
Federal complex,
Right.
Seeing that and just how leadership here in the community entices folks to come to Pensacola. And like you said, that was one of the things that hit me when we were talking about folks that are born and raised here for decades, couldn't wait to get out of here and would move off to a big city and start their career. But it's great to see folks that will either boomerang, they'll go to a big city for college, but know that, hey, I'm going to bring my skill set back to Pensacola.
Right.
Or even just UWF. I've got my freshman in high school is kind of she's a homebody and does not want to. She already says she doesn't want to go very far. So we feel very fortunate that UWF is right here in Pensacola to get a high quality higher education. And then stay right here in your backyard and continue to help the community grow.
Absolutely.
So very cool.
Yeah.
And then, in the effort to continue to give back, Military Day, it's always great to be able to bring folks on base and get a glimpse at what your service members do on a daily basis. I mean, this is an absolute, we call it, there's a reason it's called the cradle of naval aviation, not only because it's where every aviator starts flight school, but all the technicians, the mega building there at the training complex, anybody that is a part of naval aviation, officer or enlisted, there at some point has probably come through Pensacola.
Right.
So it's really neat to bring the class into that environment and get them to interact with young sailors so that they can see what the future of our military is capable of, and the folks that the caliber of individuals that we as American citizens have on the front lines that are headed out to operationally. This is just the schoolhouse, but the quality of instructors that they get to interact with, and then the enthusiasm of the students that are headed out to be on the tip of the spear here every day when they ship out of here to go off to operational units. And then obviously interact with base leadership, the two-star admiral on base. We've got the Coast Guard here now, so that's something I'm going to try and incorporate into Military Day for this year's LEAP class. And then just get up and smell the jet fuel, and hear the jet noise, see the simulators, see the a world-class museum that we have here. It's just a treasure that we have in Pensacola, that it's an awesome opportunity to sponsor folks and bring them on base to see that aspect of what this community has to offer.
Yeah, it really is a unique perspective that not many people get.
Right. Yeah, it's NAS Pensacola. It's obviously the shooting impacted the access to the base. COVID impacted the access to the base. But I joked it's been almost as much of the base has been an equally tourist attraction as it is a military installation.
Right.
So hopefully we get to a point where, and I know there are all kinds of initiatives to be able to enable access to those historical sites, the forts, the lighthouse, the museum, while still executing the military mission of training a high-paced, technological organization. I mean, that's we want to. Our goal is to stay on the cutting edge.
Yes.
So there's only so much access that you can get to the military without obviously clearances and things like that.
Right.
So it's out of necessity that the base has to restrict access. So, but I think we're moving in the right direction to be able to get folks to see that up close.
Good. That's great to hear. Yeah. So you covered a lot, but just wanted to see if you had any closing thoughts.
No, again, thank you very much for this opportunity. Like I said, I came through flight school here 20 years ago from the Northeast. My wife is from Pennsylvania, and was able to come back 10 years ago and said, this is it. This is the place where I want to grow old. I want to raise my family, just because the support of the military, the support of the Blue Angels, and then just the world-class beaches, and just looking out your office window at downtown, just knowing what's happening in this community is something that I want to be a part of. I want my family to be a part of, and I want my children to be able to flourish and experience. So thank you for what you do for this community, for all the businesses with the chamber and the opportunities that you present to us, and the support of the Blue Angels. I mean, everybody hands down knows that Pensacola loves the Blue Angels, and when we travel, we have the opportunity to travel to about 30 to 40 cities a year, and we're excited to be able to come home every weekend to be a part of this community and represent the folks of Pensacola as well when we're on the road, to say that this is our home. So thank you for providing us with the hospitality here in our hometown. It's amazing.
Well, and please take back to the entire crew with the Blue Angels our appreciation and thanks for everything that y'all do. I mean, you are a treasure for our community, and we just appreciate y'all being here, and we're here to support you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that support. I'm just glad to be here.
No, well, and thank you for your time. I mean, I'm very excited that you're going to be staying in our community, and that you'll be continuing to be engaged in what we do with Leadership Pensacola, and I know we'll be doing more things together. So
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you for the opportunity, Todd. Absolutely. This is truly an honor.
Well, Todd Royles, Executive Officer with the Blue Angels, thank you so much for spending some time with me today and telling us, more than I could have ever imagined about the Blue Angels. It's really been an education for me, so I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Absolutely. So thanks to y'all for listening to the Greater Pensacola Toddcast, sponsored by Moorhead Real Estate Law Group, and we'll catch you next time on the Toddcast.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Toddcast. To learn more, check out the Greater Pensacola Chamber's Facebook page and follow us on Twitter at ToddcastPCola. That's Toddcast, letter P, colon. We hope you join us again next time on the Toddcast.